if Kai was reading a book and it had the word cat on the first page, and then that word was repeated, he would have to literally sound out the word the next time he saw it, and the next time he saw it, and the next time he saw it. And so his brain was working really hard every time he had to read, because it was cat every time.
That's this episode's guest, Kelly Muma, a parent from Bellevue, Washington. Welcome to Lindamood-Bell Radio, a podcast on all things literacy and learning. I'm Dave Hungerford for Lindamood-Bell, and we believe that every individual can learn to read and comprehend to their potential. Lance was bright but had trouble reading. Then there was Michelle. She didn't understand what she read and sometimes got confused in conversations. Lance and Michelle had language processing difficulties and both found success at Lindamood-Bell's learning centers. Is your child like Lance or Michelle? In a matter of weeks, our instruction for reading or comprehension can make the difference of a lifetime. Learn more at lindamoodbell.com. I met Kelly and her husband Dan on a trip to visit a research project at the University of Washington. Here's our conversation.
I'll start off.
Sure. Kai is, I would say he's a cautious kid. He's very thoughtful before he does things. He loves to joke and play and laugh. School isn't necessarily on his top list of things that he enjoys doing, but he's a good sport. He works hard. We often hear that from his teachers, that he has a good attitude and he works hard.
What's his favorite thing to do with you, Dad?
Likes to play video games. He likes to, joke around. He's starting to play a little bit of tennis, so hitting the tennis ball around. He just likes to play. He's always playing with the dog and whatever he can get into. He hasn't kind of set his mind on one thing yet growing up, so he's kind of trying everything out. So he's just a fun kid to be around.
Oh, come on, it's third grade. He's got to have his career choice made.
I know. We're starting first room.
Legos.
A lot of Legos.
He's going to major in Legos.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about his school, his academic career.
He entered school, and we didn't really have concerns about him as a kindergartner. Once he was in first grade, his teacher, about midway through the year, recognized that he wasn't progressing the same as the rest of the students. And she had, lots of experience with students with challenges, and recommended that we start looking into how we can get support for him outside of the classroom.
And what kind of community is it here?
Wonderful. Just an amazing neighborhood, wonderful teachers. Everyone here, when you have anything with your family or your children, people are very helpful, and there's lots of support.
Yeah. We were super impressed with the school. Like, literally a couple times a year we sit down with all the speech teacher, the reading teacher, the principal's in there, his teacher will be in there, and you don't hear about it very often where you get to be in front of those kind of people that really help mold the minds of the kids. So I was super impressed with how much work they put in there, but we definitely could tell that, and they knew that he needed more work to get past that. And once it kind of identified it, dyslexia as kind of part of the issue, they go, we've done some training, that kind of stuff, but there's other stuff out there also. And we heard about Lindamood-Bell through friends that daughter's looking at the same program. So
So it's primarily the reading issue that came up as the challenge, not just a global.
Yeah, well, they found that they kind of realized that with some of the speech stuff, kind of behind on speech and that kind of stuff, and syllables and all that kind of stuff, that it probably all ties together in some way or another. That it started kind of the not being able to read as well may play into that. So then everything kind of tied together.
But we learned that it was much more than just challenges with understanding or, the speech that he had initially received support for, that there were other, factors that he needed help with. So.
And was he put in like special ed? Yes,
he did go through the full evaluation. that takes some time. So we went and did some independent evaluations with another group. And in the process, as we started talking with our friends about what we were experiencing, knowing that, others face these challenges as well, through our friend network, one of our friends that I run with has another friend with a child with dyslexia who participated in the University of Washington study the summer before Kai did. And so we got connected through that conversation, and she sent me the link to the clinical trials page, or the research study page, with UW. And once I read more about it, we applied, and then that's how we, got connected with Lindamood-Bell, which was wonderful. We had tried some other avenues. We did a private tutor who was trained in the Slingerland method. And we did another resource that it just didn't have the same effectiveness for him as being in the program every day and being with other children and the tools that he received as a result.
And what did you, when you first researched the study itself, what did you find out?
I mostly relied on the feedback from the friend of a friend, and just how they described the experience and how impactful it was. And on the site, we were able to get a good understanding of the commitment, which it is a big commitment. But and then I also went to a session that Dr. Yeatman had at one of the local facilities to share the science behind the practice. And so those things together, we decided that it was worth the commitment to, have the opportunity to participate. We then did an evaluation at Lindamood-Bell and learned even more about the Seeing Stars program. And that was also helpful, but we were bought in, and we knew that it was going to be worth, everything that we were going to put toward it.
Tell me about the first day of taking him over to the study.
So it was funny, the first day that we took him over there and he walked into the building, he thought it was a lot like Harry Potter. The building is an old building on the UW campus, beautiful old wood, lots of stairs, as Kai mentioned, and walked into the room. And first day we went over, then visited all the parents who were in there, kind of an orientation kind of thing. And they kind of laid it out how it was. And they just communicated so well. First you go in there, like, it's kind of a cool environment to be in, and how they roll it out. So it was a great experience for us just on that first orientation day.
Yeah. So we did do the orientation with the parents, and they described what the program would be like. And then when it was Kai's, the first day of the program for him, he walked in, knew where to go, was familiar with, the room, and knew what to expect with where to put his things. And they let the children be very comfortable. So if they want to sit on the chair, they can. If they want to sit on the floor, they can. The instructors are very personable, so they connect very easily and put the children at ease. And so we brought him in, dropped him off, said goodbye, and came back when it was time to pick up.
And tell me about the scanning part of it.
We had 4 different study visits with an MRI, and we also did other evaluations during those visits. So Kai would do some book work, and it was recorded and scored. He also did an EMG, I believe, another process. And then with the MRI, he would get into scrubs, and they would show him the machine. The specialist would put him at ease, let him ask questions, and ask about how the machine works, what to expect. They would show him what the sound would be like, encourage him not to move. They let him pick out a movie, and he would be in the MRI for around an hour for that process, and never had any problem, never complained of being claustrophobic or uncomfortable with not moving or, anything related to that. He actually kind of just enjoyed being able to relax and watch a movie.
How did Dr. Yateman explain what it was he was looking for, the goals of the research?
They described it as looking for neural pathways, that the dyslexic brain uses different paths into the parts of the brain that you need to retain information for reading. And for reading to be easy, you need to be able to hold on to those symbols in your brain. And before the study, if Kai was reading a book and it had the word cat on the first page, and then that word was repeated, he would have to literally sound out the word the next time he saw it, and the next time he saw it, and the next time he saw it. And so his brain was working really hard every time he had to read, because it was cat every time. And with the air writing and other ways of retaining those symbols and images in his brain, it became automatic. So it wasn't work anymore because of the neural pathways that he built.
It's funny, as we learned about the whole thing, because I'm dyslexic, grew up dyslexic, and there wasn't the kind of program that Lindamood-Bell put on this. So it was just a lot of hard work and always a struggle. So seeing just the improvement from day one to the end of the program for Kai was amazing. And literally areas that I never got to growing up. So it's pretty cool. I mean, and when they're describing what the brain does and how he sees things, is like, oh my gosh, it all makes sense to me. So it's such a great program to be in. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Were there changes that you could notice, like behaviorally or just around home, from him being able to read better?
I mean, I think when he went into this year, definitely the first day of school, you're always nervous, but I think he had a confidence going in that he had learned a lot during the summer. Like, I think
he was very proud.
He was very proud of it. I mean, he scored a lot of Slurpees because they would leave there and got a Slurpee on the way home and stuff like that. But he felt a confidence around books instead of that fear of books. So I think going to school, when you sit in a class, instead of knowing myself, trying to figure out how I can get away from getting around that circle and reading, he embraced it.
Another really amazing part of the process for us was that when Kai entered school, one of the teachers from Lindamood-Bell came to Kai's school. We scheduled a meeting for him to sit down with his teacher and two of the special ed teachers and go through, this is the new Kai. I know, here's the Kai that you knew before the summer, and this is where he is now. And they were just blown away by the program, and they started doing some of their own research. His teacher definitely wanted to continue supporting the tools, his new tools that he had. So she learned so that she could reinforce that in the classroom. And he, because of that kind of attention and positive reinforcement, just was, again, very proud of his achievement. And it was wonderful that they took the time to do that.
Oh, that's great to hear.
I don't know if he knows how impactful, him verifying, because Lindamood-Bell's been doing this, I think, for a long time and knew that it works. And like most things, like even eating your vegetables, we still have studies that tell us that's good for you. And I think this is probably another case where, these tools have been in place for some time, and now we get to verify with science through, doing things like the MRI to show that it's not a coincidence. It really is a scientific proof that this works.
For a long time, the fMRIs solely looked at we know this part of the occipital portion in the brain, and this area is involved in reading, and seeing blood flow and seeing if that kind of normalizes. His look into the white matter is really unique, and I think it's going to be a kind of a breakthrough. So it's great to see. So how did it wrap up? How did the process and the study end? You have one final scan and one big testing? Is that? Yeah,
I mean, it was definitely, it felt like that he just completed a marathon and, got his gold medal. And we did do another evaluation with the research study. On the last day of the study, we knew that Kai had really accomplished a big commitment and big effort. So we wanted to celebrate that. And where he was participating, it was a short walk to a place where we could park our boat. So we brought our boat, we traveled by boat, and then walked up to the school, and he did his 4 hours of session. And then after, when he came down to the boat, it was all decorated with streamers and balloons, and we had, a toast and celebrated his accomplishment. The week after, he did another evaluation, an MRI, and then he also went back to Lindamood-Bell and did the Lindamood-Bell evaluation as well, which gives us a different, perspective and results. And then we could compare his testing before and after, and really.
What did those look like? What did the test scores?
It was amazing. He was already had really high comprehension, but low on. There are so many technical terms, and I wish I understood them all. And when I was sitting there and they'd explain it, they did such a great job. But they really have it down to a science of these different pieces that round out your ability to read with fluency and speed and all of those wonderful.
So you got the
things.
Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Yes.
Circles and circles
yes,
and circles and how it works together.
And then, it was great though, because even with the results and the progress that he made, they even went through the detail of some of the responses that you don't get credit for, that you end up self-correcting on the second. They would note that. And that was also noted on the first. So even, you get the real black and white results, but you also get the interpretation of the gray. And that was really helpful for us to know, not just the, like here he was at grade level this, and now he's at grade level that. It was in between the lines as well.
Well, it's amazing that in an 8-week period, you can go from being that far behind to level.
Yeah.
Where you're supposed
or
to be.
Ahead.
Or ahead, which is like, it was mind-boggling.
It also told us a lot about when we did the first evaluation, where his frustrations were. Because he did have very high vocabulary and very high comprehension, but he was having to read these books that were really like Pete the Cat, that weren't very interesting to him. Mm-hmm. And so that was another really insightful part of the process for us.
Well, that's great. A lot of times with that type of kid, get frustrated and esteem issues. If it continues forever, then you just have esteem and sometimes behavior, and it's a tough road to hoe when you're an adult and have to make up a gap that's this big versus third grade, and it's only that small. Especially
before going into third grade, where everyone tells you this is the big jump. And second to third is jumping into a whole new ball game. So
the reading to learn,
learning to read versus reading to learn.
Yeah,
cliche, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just seeing how well that he put the work in was super cool.
Thank you very
Cool.
much. And thank you for listening. Learn more about the research, which at this point has resulted in 4 peer-reviewed publications on our webpage, lindamood-bell.com. You can also see a video on the Mumas at our YouTube page, and you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We are Lindamood-Bell.